All right, Parashat Nitzavim. Those words that Moshe Rabbeinu was saying here in the parasha, according to the Midrash Seder Olam, were said on when?
The last day of his life?
Zayin Adar. What year?
Taf.
Bet. Taf Pei Chet. Bet. Taf Pei Chet. Which was over 3,000 years ago, but we know exactly the date that it was said. So just to have this in mind. I want to try to expand a little bit on that. Especially since we are standing before Yom Adin, Rosh Hashanah. There are two different types of behavior that we behave, that we do. The first one is what we call behavior from yirah, from fear. We're afraid. And the second one is from love. Fear and love. The behavior that is fear-driven, fear-oriented, is a behavior of profitability. Right? I'm going to gain, I'm going to lose. And the behavior that we have that is behavior that is love-driven is, as the Rambam says, and this is so, again, you just fall in love with this guy. The Rambam writes, you're listening, Shlomo? The Rambam writes, Oseh ha'emet mipnei shehu emet v'sof hakavod lavo. You're doing the truth because it's the truth. Not because you're going to be a big rabbi, you're going to fly on carpets, you're going to do all these things. You're doing it because that's the emet. For this kind of behavior is the Torah referring to, especially in our parasha, when it says uvacharta b'chaim. Pay attention. This is, you could write volumes of philosophy on this pasuk alone. Uvacharta b'chaim lema'an tichyeh, and you should choose life in order for you to live. Bacharta b'chaim lema'an tichyeh. It seems a little out of place, but we'll see what it is. Choosing a life is not in order to receive any kind of external benefit, or to be saved from punishment. I don't want to go to hell or something of that sort. But rather, for the sake of life itself. For the sake of life itself. However, there are both of these patterns of behavior, whether it's from love or from fear, are there for maybe for us to conduct a societal code of how we live in society, and this is really in order to have a functioning society, right? Because we say le'yir'ah u'le'ahava et shemecha, right? Why? Le'ma'an lo nevosh ve'lo nikalem ve'lo nikashel. We need to have either yir'ah or ahava in order for us not to be embarrassed. From who? From your great name, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name. So, the first one, of course, is by creating a system of penalties and systems of preventions that people would not do things because they're afraid of the penalty. And the other one is, the love one is basically by means of education and internal persuasion. It makes sense. By the way, in our society, we deliberately make things so they won't make sense. And our society, our modern society, is a very achieving-driven society. It's all about achievements. It's all about your scores and so on and so on, which I think is terrible. One of the mistakes that we make as parents or as educators is we always compare the marks of this kid or this person to the other person. Well, he got 90, how come you got 80? whatever he got 90, you got 80, it doesn't make a difference. You should never do that. But this is the way we have our society. So, which is very terrible. I mean, it's really bad. And because of that, our society is not really interested in the substance, in the essence of what we are giving through, but rather the materialistic results that the person can achieve. As we spoke today, most parents will tell you, arguments like if you have to take coding or computer programming, or becoming a doctor, or becoming a landscaper, or a ballet dancer, they will tell you go become something that will make you money and so on and so forth, rather than do what you really like. In other words, money we put on top of all, whether it's money or it's respect in society above all, and we deny the needs of the individual himself. We want something that will give us prestige. Oh, I'm a big shot real estate agent, or I'm a big this. What difference does it make? What are you as a human being? First of all, are you happy? Is this life what you're living? Okay? And therefore, as a result of that, the society does not really deal with its issues, with the problems society has in the way of prevention, preventive medicine, so on and so forth. Because of that. When something happens in society, we let it happen, and then we try to deal with it. Then we try to come up with solutions for that. As many times as we have it in Western medicine, for example, Western medicine comes to take place, or comes in effect, after the person becomes sick. It's not like Oriental medicine that we try to maintain the balance of the person and become preventive by maintaining the balance in order for the person not to get sick. Getting sick is not good. The same thing, this is, and you could see how our society, it's not only reflecting to one thing or another. It's across the board in everything, whether it's education, whether it's medicine, whether it's anything else like that. And it's really bothersome. It really bothers me to no end the way we live our lives. This kind of way of thought or way of thinking comes even more so at the treatment that we see when we fail when it comes to crime, criminals and crime. Bless you. The way we deal with criminals and with crime is by having deterrence, right? We're trying to tell you, if you're going to do this, we're going to give you to deter the person from doing that. So we deal with deterrence by judgment, and the more crime spreads, of course, what happens? There's a greater demand to increase first of all, of course, always the budget for the police, right? The budget for the police, the amount of policemen, the amount of lawyers and DAs and so on and so forth. Are we okay? How long do we have?
No, we're good.
Okay, let's have it. I mean, sometimes I think that they hope that something will happen so they can create another office or another thing instead of taking care of the problem from the beginning. It's all about budget. Budget means money. Money means importance. I don't care what happened to the person. I care how important would I be. I mean, it's crazy to think that there are countries with armies that are much smaller than the New York police, the New York City Police Department. It's crazy to think. And yet, for example, in a city like Bnei Brak, there's, I don't know, like 200,000 people, there's not even one police station there. I think it tells you something. So that's what we try to do. So the way that our society deals in crime reminds me always the story. It's a very famous story about this big white bridge that was there. In the middle of the bridge there was a hole. Of course, nobody took care of it because it's like you call 311, they send you to this one, they send you to that one, you end up nowhere, they just leave it like this. Yeah, there could be a pothole the size of I don't know, the Grand Canyon in the middle of the street. That's okay. They're going to come, whatever, right? So there was a bridge. In the middle of the bridge there was a hole, and a lot of cars fell in through the hole, and people got injured because of that. and until they decided to do something about it. And what did they do right away next to it? They made a first aid booth right next to the pothole. So if somebody gets injured, right away they fulfill their civil duty, and they're going to take care of the people at zero response time. They've made a booth. And more people got injured and more people got hurt, and they decided, and of course there was elections, and the politicians ran it with their campaign, and they waved the flag, and they said, we need a budget for other things, and they need the budget, of course. What's the other thing? They make a special exit right after the hole, so if somebody falls from the hole, it'll be quicker to get him right away out, and to take him into a hospital which they built just for that. I mean, that sounds like New York City. Or to that matter, anything that we have in this country or in the Western society. Until one guy came and he said to him, guys, excuse me, don't you think it will be easier to just simply fix the hole? It will be much cheaper, much faster, and much better. Why do you need all this thing? Of course, at that point, that hole became an industry. So if you're going to fix the hole, what people are going to tell you? Oh, well, those people are going to lose their job if you're going to close the hospital. There's a special hole in the bridge hospital, right? But it always sounds the same. I mean, it sounds like what we're experiencing all the time. But simply fix the hole, and you won't have a problem. So, the way our behavior acts or behaves reminds us what it says in the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, Daf Lamed, Bet, Amud,
Bet.
Aleph. It says, it says, Mashal le'adam echad shaya lo ben. It's a story about a man who had a son. Herchitzo v'sacho ve'echilo eshkau. Right? He bathed him. He made sure the kid was clean. He rubbed his body with oils and something, like cream, so he won't have eczema and all kind of stuff like that. He fed him well. He let him drink, and he put on his neck a pocket v'talal kis tzavaro. He put like a big wallet with money on his neck. And what did he do? Heshivo al petach shel zonot. He put him at the entrance for a bordello. Right? The Gemara says, "Ma yaseh ben shelo yechta." What can you do? The kid is going to sin. You made him such a nice kid. You give him a lot of money. He's going to do an averah. Now you have to understand that every society that does not put limits, red lines, that is a red line. And very clear red lines. Any society that is not willing to harness and to really control the way they're thinking, for example, or to give up, or the hedonism of their everything is allowed, everything they want. There's nothing. There's no taboos. The taboos are those who have red lines. So it all goes. By the way, okay, I'll tell you off the camera about a new book that I read about. It's pathetic. It's like I saw the future. So any society that allows permissiveness, that everything is allowed, that continually arouses your urges, your most behemoth urges, to really go out of control without any kind of disturbance, without putting the appropriate boundaries and limitations. You don't have to wonder to be a great genius to understand that this is going to end up to be a lot of crime, a lot of violent crimes, and so on and so forth, and there are a lot of criminals and so on. And after we create this chaos in society, where it's all free for all, it's all allowed, then of course we have to fight this with having policemen and courts, and of course the demand always comes from those who are dealing with that to be more strict and more punishable and more punitive, and so on and so forth. And prisons are about to explode. There's no room to put older people in prison. We're doing something wrong. We're doing something wrong. Of course, we can't dismiss the fact that we need to have some kind of warning signs or to deter people from society. As Chazal says, "Ilmale morah shel malchut, ish et re'ehu chaim bela'u." If it wasn't for the fear of punishment, of societal punishment, everybody will be a Wild West. Everybody will kill each other. We'll eat each other alive. However, the Jewish answer for crime, for criminals, and so on and so forth, is different. It's not jails. In Judaism, there's no concept of jail. In the whole Gemara, there's no jail. The non-Jews put him in jail. They put Yosef in jail. Jews did not put people in jail. There was no jails by Jews. The Jewish answer for that, for crime, for deterioration in society, is education. It's education. As Chazal says in Masechet Kiddushin, Daf Lamed Amud Bet. It says, Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati lo Torah Tavlin. It's equal. Otherwise, in other words, I created the temptation, but I created something to control it as well. I created the poison, but there is the antidote also. Otherwise, it's not fair. So, in other words, where our virtues and values of our societal justice and order are not just something for us to reach a quality of life, or something more secure, or something more pleasant, and so on and so forth. But even more so, it's an internal, individual virtue that the person always needs to strive through for and from himself, because it says "Uvacharta b'chaim leman techiyah," and you have to choose life in order to live, in order to be alive. So the Gemara in Masechet
Yoma?
Ketubot, Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Bet. Today you're off. אומרת, the Gemara says over there, אמר רבי אלעזר, עמי הארצות אינן חיים. עמי הארצות, ignorant people, they're not alive. In other words, they're zombies, they're not alive. Why? שנאמר, because it says, מתים בל יחיו. Dead people should not live. תניא נמי אחי. מתים בל יחיו, יכול לכל, does it mean for everybody? תלמוד לומר, רפאים בל יקומו. מה זה רפאים? במרפא עצמו מדברי התורה כתוב להתאפר. רפאים מלשון להרפות. להרפות means loose. What we are talking about? The Gemara says, a person who's not working hard on learning Torah. המרפא עצמו דברי תורה. Today he has to go to visit his great mother's birthday, even though she died 50 years ago. Then they have to go like a family, get it all together. The wife is getting her nails by the Korean nail polish salon. So the husband goes like this to support his wife. Oh, kind of like, give me a break. You guys are making me sick. You're so weak. Rabbi, I have a stomach ache. Rabbi, I have this. Rabbi, my day. I said, come on. You're weak. But because you're weak, your life is not worth to be called life. Look what the Gemara is saying to you. I'm not saying that. I don't have a problem saying it. But I cannot say it as good as the Gemara says. Those hamarpe et atzmo al divrei Torah come up with any excuse why they cannot learn. Habibi, this is not first grade or second grade or sixth grade where you have to come up for excuse why you didn't do your homework. Oh, teacher, my mother gave birth to a giraffe. Okay? That's why it belongs when you're a kid. Marpe et atzmo al divrei Torah. Their life is not worthy to be called life, it says. So Amar le Rabbi Yochanan says, Lo nicha lemara Yehuda amarta lav hachu. That's it's not, I don't feel so good about this. He says, Ahu b'marpe atzmo l'avodat kochavim udechtiv. What we are talking about is regarding avodat kochavim. He's not really quick to remove all these things from his heart or from his house. So אמר לה, מקרא אחר אני דורש, דכתיב קלטל אורות עליך וארץ רפאים תפיל. Anybody who uses the light of the Torah, or the light, what do you mean to use the light of the Torah? The light of the Torah guides him in the darkness of his life. He's perplexed. The light of the Torah guides him to his life. Or Torah mechayehu. The light of the Torah revives you. V'chol she'en mishtamesh be'or Torah. Whoever doesn't use the Torah as a beacon of light to guide him in the dark path of his life, en or Torah mechayehu. He is not considered to be revived. Mechayehu means as long as he's not connected to Torah, he is considered to be dead. Kevan dechazia demitztaer amarle. He saw that he's a little bit shvach because of his words. He said it to him, Rebbe, matzati lahen takana min Torah. I find a way to fix this midoraita. It says, ve'atem hadvekim be'Hashem Elohechem chayim kulchem hayom וכי אפשר לדבוקי בשכינה. A person can attach himself to something so lofty as the providence of God, of the Shekhinah of God. והכתיב כי השם אלוקיך אש אוכלה. God, the splendor of God is like a consuming fire. You can't get near it. Lehavdil, million avdalot, to make all the differences in the world. Can you get close to the sun? You can't. It's going to burn you. I mean, for crying out loud, you're going in a summer out, you get burnt. This is like so far away. Put this in perspective. Everything you want to learn about the spiritual, look at the physical. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Torah is the light of our lives, can I get near it? It's impossible, right? Right? Ela, but rather, what does it mean? So there is a way to help those people who are not big Talmidei Chachamim. How? Ela, kol hamesi bito letalmid chacham. Anybody who marries his daughter to a Talmid Chacham. By the way, this shiur should be Leilu Nishmat Harav Shlomo Maimon from Seattle. It was just niftar not a long time ago. So he's a tremendous Talmid Chacham. Did a lot for the Torah in Seattle and really held the community together. Unbelievable person. He is Zecho Baruch. Amen. So, Ela kol hamesib bito letalmid chacham. If a person makes sure that his daughter would marry a ben Torah, Talmid Chacham, right away they say, "Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm learning Kol. Okay, enough for me. Are you going to be mefarnes my daughter? I'm not going to mefarnes my daughter. Hashem will. Mesib bito letalmid chacham. A Talmid Chacham, and especially by us, unfortunately, it's like this. Especially by us, a person who learns Torah is like a muktzah mechamat meus. Right? Maze. Look, learn from the Ashkenazim. En kamoim binyanim ele. En kamoim binyanim ele. By them, a Talmid Chacham, a person who is matmid, the moser nefesh la Torah, you have to weigh his weight in gold. Think about this. We always like to laugh at the Ashkenazim. Habibi, we have a lot to learn from them. A lot to learn. A lot. I'm sure, unfortunately, I cannot find a bigger word than a lot. But, with capital letters. More than that. A person who helps a Talmid Chacham with Parnasa. And a person who shares his money with a Talmid Chacham. Not like this, okay, I gotta take $100. You have to chase. You have to chase after a person who is a Talmid Chacham to give him money. You have to chase him. I remember one of my sons, Rosh Yeshiva, said, I don't take money from everybody. And when I take money from someone, I do them a favor. And he is absolutely correct. You're not doing a favor to give the money to the Talmid Chacham. He's doing a favor by taking your money. So a person like this, if you do these things, it's like you are attaching yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. כיוצא בדבר אתה אומר, because it says, לאהבה את השם אלוקיך ולדבקה בו. To love God and you attach yourself, you dedicate yourself to Hashem. Don't you want Talmidei Chachamim, they're going to be your grandchildren? How are they going to be? From what? You're not learning. So how? Well, if I didn't learn, unfortunately, for whatever reason, at least let me find a girl find a guy that my daughter will marry as a Talmid Chacham. You have to look after it. וכי אפשר לאדם להידבק בשכינה, again, can a person detect בשכינה, אלא כל המסי ביתו לתלמיד חכם ואוסף מקטיע תלמידי חכמים, ומעלה תלמידי מחסם, מעלה וכתוב כאילו מדבק בשכינה. Again, that is the answer. You have to do whatever you can for that. You have to praise those who are willing to do and doing what you are not and obligated to. So Rabbi Elazar is darshan, עמי הארצות are not alive. עמי הארצות אינם חיים. But Rabbi Yochanan is looking for a pasuk that teaches us also a way for Talmidei Chachamim are considered to be alive, and therefore or worthy to be called alive. And he finds those psukim and talks about dedication to Hashem that really practically means attaching yourself to Talmidei Chachamim, serving them, helping them, supporting them, and so on and so forth, to the highest level that you're even allowed to, that you should marry your daughter to that. For example, if a Kohen, lechatchila, a Kohen should marry a Bat Kohen. The Kehuna of Kohanim should be Kohen, the Bat Kohen. אבל אם הוא אין Kohen, או שמצא, or he found, תלמיד חכם גדול, גם כן ראוי, it's appropriate for Bat Kohen to marry a תלמיד חכם. Why? Because she comes from Keter Kehuna, and he has Keter Torah, וKeter Torah עולה על כולם. Being a Talmid Chacham is greater than being a Kohen. And who would not like to be a Kohen? But everybody wants to be a Kohen because you're born to, you have to do anything for it. But a Talmid Chacham takes a lot of work. A lot of work. You look exactly how many gates you have to enter, how many things you have to acquire until you become a Kohen, a Melech, a king, a Kohen. Above all, v'keter Torah me'al kulam. Keter Torah above all. Above all. Above all. A person is considered to be so much as a when he becomes a big Talmid Chacham, that he's like a walking Sefer Torah. When they take the Sefer Torah, you have to stand. When the Talmid Chacham Gadol comes in, you have to stand. Because he is like a walking Sefer Torah. So, and in a way, when we have here why is it called Chaim, right? Because Etz Chaim He, למחזיקים בה. מי זה עץ חיים למחזיקים בה? Those who hold the Torah, these are the תלמידי חכמים. Right? So עץ חיים למחזיקים בה. What happens now? When a person מדבק himself to the תלמיד חכם, it's like kli pouring into kli. The shefa comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu because of the person learning Torah. And then the person attaching himself, so the Talmid Chacham is the tzinor, is the pipe, and the person is the vessel that holds the bracha that comes. So he's attaching himself. Kli memale kli. This vessel fills the other vessels. And that's the inyan here. So we have to look at this Gemara, why Dafka the Gemara chose these two psukim that talks about dvekut b'Kadosh Baruch Hu. And from many psukim that talk about this, but Dafka this psukim. It seems like the Gemara is looking for psukim that teaching us that the dvekut in Hashem and the dvekut in Talmidei Chachamim gives us life, gives us chayim. Not life, only life, but being alive. Therefore, the Gemara brought Dafka, specifically those psukim, Vatem hadvekim b'Hashem Elokechem chayim kulchem hayom le'ahava et Hashem Elokecha לשמוע בקולו ולדבקה בו כי הוא חייך, because he is your life. ואורך ימיך לשבת על האדמה אשר נשבע לאבותיך, and this will give you long life to stay on this earth, which will promise לאברהם, יצחק ויעקב לתת להם. Those two psukim teach us that the dvekut gives us the chaim, but what does it really mean? The dvekud give us purpose to our life. Purpose, tochen l'chaim, purpose to our life. Gives meaning to our life. Life without dvekud is not considered to be life. Why? Because it says, Rashaim b'chayim kruim metim. Rashaim, while they are alive, are considered to be dead. And that is in Masechet, Brachot, you said Brachot, Tzaddik Daf, Tzaddik Amud, Bet. Psha, איזה יופי. חריף בין חריף. Why? Because the life is not just a matter of, chemical reactions that goes inside of you, metabolism of sugars, and so on and so forth, blood flow. Life is determined, to be alive is determined by your connection to the spiritual world while you are alive in this world. Okay? And that connection gives us meaning to what it is a body. It elevates us from a level of a behemah, of a beast, to a level of a human, to a level of a ben Torah, of a Jew, and then on top of all a ben Torah. So therefore a ben Torah is the most refined level you can reach. That connection to the spiritual world. Therefore, also a me'aratzot that don't deal with the Torah themselves also can give substance and meaning to their lives by including the Talmidei Chachamim in their lives. What's the biggest way to include somebody in your life? Marry your daughter to them. And by doing so, all your life is be connected to the Torah. All your life is going to be connected to the Shekhinah. We have to understand that. The Rambam describes this person that reached this level of dvekud. If you're going to look at Moreh Nevuchim, Chelek Gimel, Perek Nun Aleph, and it says, "Aval be'egia ish mibnei Adam." When a person reach, any person, me'asagat ha'amitiyut v'simchato b'ma she'esig, and whatever he reached and is very happy on his achievement that he achieved, לעניין שיהיה בו מספר עם בני אדם ומתעסק בצורכי גופו, שכלו, כולו, בעת ההוא, יהיה עם האלוקות. In everything that you do, at that moment, everything that you do, whether when you talk to people, when you eat, when you sleep, and everything is directed towards that goal of being attached to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, על הדרך שנאמר במשלים השירים, אשר נשאו לאלה העניינים, אני ישנה ולבי ער. Right? אני ישנה, I'm asleep, but my heart is beating. כל דודי דופק. Right? In שיר השירים. This is the מדרגה, איני אומר שהיא מדרגת כל הנביאים. We were talking about this yesterday. רק אומר שהיא מדרגת משה רבנו. That's the level of משה רבנו. שנאמר וניגש משה לבדו. And Moshe came closer אל השם והם לא ייגשו. And they did not. Moshe Rabbeinu came alone. He chose to attach himself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it says over there, V'yisham im Hashem, and there he was with Hashem. Because he wanted to. Moshe Rabbeinu, also when he was working and eating or talking to people, everything was directed toward HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe Rabbeinu lived, what do we live? You know, when somebody asks you, how old are you? Who's like around here? Let's say your argument, 30, right? So we go by years, argument's sake, we go by years, 30. We go by years. Moshe Rabbeinu did not live by years. Moshe Rabbeinu lived by seconds. Every second was important. Do you know, without touching your calculator, do you know how many seconds were in your life? Every second was accounted by Moshe Rabbeinu. We have a problem giving account for decades in our lives. Especially those who like smoke pot like they are Bob Marley on steroids. They got them fry their brains to no end. They don't know. Sometimes they go for days out. Or those who do ecstasy and metformin. Metformin is for diabetes. How do you call this? Methane. No, methane. Meth. Yeah, I don't know, meth. The days they're burning, they've been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. I got you, Adama. You thought they're not going to be any songs involved. I love it, and the live version is really the best. The song remains the same. Very good. Anyway, so Moshe Rabbeinu lived in seconds. And when he lived in seconds, there was no difference between his actions and his thoughts. It was all one, all directed to Hashem. So therefore it seems that, as we said before, the dvekut, dedication, you dedicate, not just attaching, you're dedicating. Remember, commitment, dedication, and balance. Dedication is when you dedicate everything to a goal. That dedication gives somebody meaning to his life. And therefore, if you, for example, get married and you are not dedicated to your spouse, well, what did you bother getting married altogether? Why did you bother to get married altogether? Right? Dedication means when the rough gets going.
Go gets rough. Go get the rough.
When the rough gets going, the going gets rough.
Tough get going.
Whatever it is, things get rougher. Yeah, the roughers have fun. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Okay, so things are hard. When things are hard, okay, those things are hard. It's not so hard. How do you get over crisis? Not like that. You get over a crisis, but if your actions are completely dedicated to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so it's not hard because it's dedicated to Hashem. Every action that you do is for Hashem. So it's hard. The fum tzara haga, the more the merrier. Okay? So therefore, that's everything that you do. Everything that you do in your life in terms of your gashma. It's finished.
No, he's 10.
So everything that you do like this, your neshama, right? If you're not connecting your neshama with your actions, your soul with your actions, right? Your life is not considered to be life. It's not worth to be called life. And this is in all fields. You have to put your soul into it. And you know what? It does not make a difference. It does not make a difference if you are cooking without your neshama. That's what they call it soul food. It comes from the soul. You gotta put your soul in everything you do. However, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to be driven by your willingness to attach yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'kol drachecha da'eu. In all your ways you should know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's what I sent you also now. Rav Kook in Igeret, not Sichot. We did Sichot last week. In Igeret Taf Pei Gimel, which was written in the year Taf Resh Ayin Gimel, which is way before World War I. You read it? You read this thing?
Yeah.
I sent it to you yesterday. It really writes in length on Chashivut, what we call Ha'esek Benishmat HaTorah, dealing with the essence of the Torah, with the spirit of the Torah. And he writes that Azivat Nishmat HaTorah, leaving the essence of Torah, the spirit of Torah, at the end will cause you to live Torah itself. And we're not just talking about, he's not talking about leaving Torah, not keeping Shabbat, not keeping mitzvot, but doing the mitzvot, keeping Shabbat, without your neshama in it. It's flat. You're doing it like a robot, without it lahavut. You have to have what they call in Chassidut, hitpa'amut, arousing of the heart, awakening of the heart. There's a whole kuntras in Palut. You know who wrote it? Who wrote it? Kuntras in Palut.
Now in Brazil.
The Mitzvah.
Oh? מי זה מתעלה? לא, השם לא היה מתעלה. הדבור האמצעי, right. Kuntras Palut, an amazing piece of Hasidic work. Very difficult. How a person should awaken himself. Everything to bring himself to a level of a spiritual experience in everything you do. That's amazing. If we could only do it. To look forward to be mitpalel in front of Hashem without lists. And I'm going to show you why. So, and we're not talking about, of course, any kind of like external additives and stuff like this. It's like pure spiritual excitement. So really, what is the problem if you're going to tell me when we leave the neshama of Torah, the spirit of Torah? Remember, we always say that. Rabbi, okay, it's not Shabbat, okay, it's the spirit of Shabbat. We always say the spirit of Shabbat is important just like Shabbat. That's why I don't like to find loopholes on Shabbat. I don't look to torture myself on Shabbat. I'm looking to attach myself to Shabbat. So this is not just some kind of like, some kind of like a magical thing that learning the secrets of Torah will open our eyes and so on and so forth. That's not talking about or advocating about learning Kabbalah or anything like of that sort. It's about bringing yourself from within to do everything else that you do in your life, to determine yourself, to put yourself on the path, on the correct path of Hashem. Leaving the neshamat of the Torah is leaving your neshama altogether. Leaving the nishmat of Torah is leaving your neshama altogether. And only if a person that looks on the external part of the Torah and then examines everything with rational eyes and looks like this at the rest of the world in a rational manner, whether it's on a person, on a nation, and so on and so forth, if you're going to do so, you can understand the connection, for example, of Am Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael. Right? It's a spiritual connection. It's a spiritual connection that even a secular Jew would like to say, oh, Rabbi, I went to the wall. I saw in the wall. And a Jew wants to go and see the wall. Even if he's not Shomer Shabbat. He, God forbid, can even marry to a goy. He wants to go to the wall. That's something you can't explain rationally. So in the Torah, there's a lot of, there's above and beyond more than the laws that tell us not to do so and so on and so forth. The things that you can't understand. Why is it for it does not make sense unless you're going to look at things from a different perspective. For example, if you have the case of a mamzer, of a bastard, right? I mean, what does a kid have to suffer for his parent being so irresponsible? Well, there's something to it. It just, in our eyes, doesn't make sense. Or, for example, homosexuality in the Torah. In today's day and age, it doesn't make sense. Quote unquote, God forbid, makes the Torah irrelevant. Or that law to the Torah irrelevant. And to the point that even some stupid rabbis, who should not even bear the title, say it's okay. That means that maybe they have a plaque on a wall that says some type of a rabbi, but they're dead, Jewish. They don't see the connection for that. And by the way, there's no difference between that or a person that says, oh, it's okay for a guy to come on Shabbat with a car. You can't push people away. It's wrong. I don't care how much you consider yourself to be Ohev Israel, because you're not doing so for Ahavat Israel. You're doing it for love of yourself. Give something. So, only an understanding that the Torah itself has a neshama. The Torah has itself. We look at this even a little further more. The Torah, and that's what we say. The Torah itself, according to Chazal, the Torah is not just a collection of a law book. The Torah is not a constitution/historical book of Am Yisrael, like some people want to say. I mean, some people want to say that Moshe Rabbeinu did not exist. However, I can tell you exactly the day he said that. Avatem Nitzavim hayom, Zayin be'adar, Shnat Bet Taf Resh Pei Chet. Exactly to the day. So we say, Chazal says, a Torah kula shmotav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God's name is the whole entire Torah, from Bereshit le'nei kol Yisrael. Everything is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to understand what it means. If you're going to look further deep, that leaving the neshama of the Torah turns the Torah into different fragments the Torah itself, and causes for that the Torah only deals a part of the life, but not whole life. The Torah that is being looked upon like this fragmented is very limited in its domain. And even Torah Sheba'al Peh, the reason why Chachamim were against writing Torah Sheba'al Peh is because they didn't want to write it, because we can fragment it. And therefore, we could say, well, the Torah deals with this and the Torah does not deal with that. But when you take the Torah as a manual for your life has so many aspects. And the Torah is a way of life. Judaism is a way of life, is how to live life. Therefore, if you don't live according to the Torah, you don't have the way of life, you have the way of death. It's very simple. So only understanding the Torah is a neshama. And the Torah includes everything. And the Torah could not change and would not change. And everything is included in the Torah. Leaving the neshama of the Torah, by doing so, you're leaving many aspects of the Torah out. And from now you could become a kofar for that. You could become a heretic. Because you fragmented that. And for example, things like we have today, the subject like the state. That's why in Israel, they had to have a Medinat Halacha. And I don't understand this religious people that says we should not have, really technically, the state of Israel should be Medinat Halacha, should be conducted according to Halacha. Otherwise, it is a Jewish state. If it's not a Jewish state, now it's going to be an Arab state. There are right now over 9 million people living in Israel. Out of them, 1.9 are Arabs. According to the Jewish Agency, there are 14.5 million Jews in the world. Almost 8 million live in Israel. So we have a majority of Jews living in Israel. However, a majority of the Jews don't keep the mitzvot, unfortunately. So is Israel a Jewish state or just another state? If you took the Jewish out of the Jewish state, therefore you lose that, and now you can have an Arab prime minister, for all you know. So, and now you could deal with all the laws and all these things from a secular point of view, and a person could never say, oh, you would not even think that the Torah has something to say about those things, of how to run the country. About your, let's say, the way we're supposed to have or to relate to illegal immigrants in Israel. The Torah deals with that. We have to treat them appropriately. However, there's a limit. There's a way, there's a limit. The Torah covers everything. There hasn't yet a body that includes all aspects of life, no constitution and no law book that includes everything like our Torah. So it seems here the same thing. Torah without neshama, Torah without its soul, without its connection of the Torah to its spiritual source, does not have chayut, doesn't have livelihood, and is just like a zombie. And therefore, by doing so, cannot be mechayeh those who deal with that. So if you see a person that learns Torah and he is very shvach, very weak about Judaism, means that he deals with the Torah from a place that is not spiritually connected to the spirit of the Torah. And therefore it's lo mechayeh oto. And now you can understand, there are some people who learn Torah and they become alive, and there are some people who learn Torah and become dead. And that's the simple reason. And only connection to the spirit of the Torah, living the spirit of the Torah, that to the connecting to the inner part, to the spiritual part of the Torah, and not necessarily Kabbalah, Don't be mistaken. And the worst will be when you learn Kabbalah and you deal from it as an external, rational, not Jewish thing. Like they learn in college, Kabbalah. But rather, when you do everything, you do it with itlahavut, from love. You're doing it, as we said before, as the Rambam says before, because that's the truth and you're doing the truth, for no other reason. That is love. I'm doing it because God asked me to do it, and that's why I'm doing it. That will give you meaning for Divrei Torah. Again, if people don't connect from the Torah, it's because they're not connected to the spirit of it. And it doesn't make sense to them. Without neshama, the body is not considered to be alive. When the neshama leaves, it goes. And the Torah does not give him chayut for it or for the people who deal with it. The Ari used to say that he could tell 30 days before a person would die, because he would see his part of the neshama slowly moving away from him. Rabotai, it's the end of the year. Again, we count it. Today is already, it's Thursday night, but it's Friday. Saturday, Sunday, we have Sunday. We have 3 days, 3 full days to really set everything up so we can hit the ground running when the year starts. The same thing as a baby. The baby needs to be formed, then he is born. So we need to form now, today, tomorrow, and on Sunday, to make an outline of how do we want our next year to be, how are we going to up our game in Torah, in mitzvot, and the itlahavut, how we can become more excited, because that will grant us another year. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.